If you're interested in real estate investing but don't know how to get started, this video is created just for you. In this video, I'm going to share with you what specific questions you must ask yourself before you get started. I'll also share with you some top 3 common strategies most newbies jump into, and I'll also share some misconceptions that you must unlearn if you want to be successful in this business. All right, let's dive in. One of the first questions you want to ask yourself is, what resources do I have available to me? These are resources such as time. How much time are you willing to dedicate to this business? Secondly, you want to ask yourself, how much money am I willing to invest? Am I starting out with low to no capital, or do I have some funds set aside that I could throw into this business? And the last thing you want to evaluate is, what relationships do I have access to? Do I know someone who's a real estate agent? Do I know someone who's an escrow officer? Do I know someone who is a busy professional who might have money to invest but simply don't have the time or the knowledge? These are questions you're going to want to ask yourself, because these are the resources you're going to need in order to get started in real estate investing. Next, you want to ask yourself, where are you in life right now? Are you someone who just wants to build passive cash flow right now? Or are you in a place where you're like, I may not need the passive cash flow, but I definitely want to build my capital reserves and my fund in order to get started? Keep in mind, there's no hierarchy in real estate. You don't have to start with one strategy that you feel is a beginner strategy and then work your way up to the next strategy, right? You could start in whatever strategy suits where you are right now and where your goals are. So don't let anyone try to make you seem like you have to jump into one strategy just because that's the strategy that they're trying to teach you. So now you're probably like, well, Crystal, that's great. I understand where you're coming from, but I hear all these words thrown at me like single family, mobile homes, hard money lenders, NACA, 203K, Burr, Airbnb. It's just, I'm so confused, but I'm excited. I just want to dive in, but I don't know how to put all these terms together. All these terms fall into 3 categories: your investment vehicle, your financing method, and your exit strategy. So let's try to organize them and make a little more sense out of all these terms, so that way you'll have a clear picture on how to get started and which one is best for you. So some examples of investing vehicles are single family homes, or maybe even mobile homes, or maybe condos, or something like a 2 to 4 unit, or maybe you might want to do something more on the residential commercial side, like 5 units or more. Some examples of financing strategies are, you could use NACA, you could use the 203K loan, you could use FHA, hard money lenders, private money lenders, subject to, and other creative financing methods. Those are all examples of financing methods. Some common exit strategies are house flipping, wholesaling, or maybe even buy and hold. And under the umbrella of buy and hold, you could do something like Airbnb. You can also house hack, or maybe you want to rent your units out to travel nurses. Those are all things that will fall under the buy and hold exit strategy. Now, in order to do real estate investing successfully, you'll need to pull from one of those 3 categories. So say, for example, you want to purchase a single family home. You want to use hard money and private money lenders to fund the investment, and then you want to fix it up, renovate it, and flip the property. So that is one strategy that you can use as a real estate investor. Or you might do something like, hey, I want to buy a triplex or a 3-family home using a 203K loan, and then I will renovate the property and I will live in 1 unit, and I might want to Airbnb 1 unit so that I could have some short-term cash flow, or I can Section 8 another unit, and that way I could have some longer term, more stable cash flow. So those are just some examples of what you could do as a real estate investor, pulling from each of those 3 categories. Now, if you don't have a job with 2 years of tax returns and a good credit and some savings, then that second option may not be best for you. That's why it's super important to ask those questions that I mentioned earlier in this video. Otherwise, you'll just be spinning in circles and learning a strategy that isn't a good fit for where you are right now. So let me know in the comments below, what investment vehicle are you going to choose? What financing method do you think will work for you? And what is your favorite exit strategy? And just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's go over the 3 most common strategies of rentals, house flipping, and wholesaling. The first strategy of rentals is where you buy a property and you rent it out to a tenant, and that tenant will either cover all or the majority of your mortgage, and in doing so, it creates positive cash flow for you. Now, rentals are a good strategy for that long-term, for sure, consistent money. House flipping is where you buy an ugly house, you fix it up, renovate it, and then resell it for a profit. Now, house flipping is a good strategy if you're looking to build your capital, right? But one of the cons to house flipping is that it's a very active business, meaning that it's very involved. Unlike rentals, which is passive and gives you passive monthly income, house flipping is very short term, it's active, and it requires some of your time. So you want to keep that in mind when you are looking into the strategy of house flipping. And then lastly, we have the strategy of wholesaling. And this is similar to house flipping, where you will find a property, you will analyze that property, you will get it under contract. However, instead of closing on the property and actually renovating and reselling it, what you would do once you have that property under contract, you will find a house flipper who will purchase that contract from you for a fee. So say, for example, you lock up a contract with a motivated seller for $300,000 and the ARV is $500,000, and there's a house flipper out there that's like, hey, you know, I ran my numbers and I'm willing to pay $325,000 for that property. So instead of you closing on the property for $300,000, the house flipper will bring the money to the table. They will bring the $325,000 to the table, and you will collect that difference of $25,000. So the difference between what you got it under contract for and what the investor is willing to pay from it to buy it off of you. Now, keep in mind, you're not flipping the house. Wholesaling, you are not flipping houses, you're flipping paper, right? So that's one thing I want you to keep in mind when it comes to wholesaling. Wholesaling is a great strategy, and a lot of newer investors are attracted to that strategy because it is lower risk and it doesn't require a lot of capital to get started. Wholesaling is a great way for you to learn how to find deals. It's a great way for you to practice analyzing deals, and it's a great way for you to build relationships and a network with other investors in your market, which are all things every real estate investor should know how to do. No matter what strategy you choose, you must be good at finding deals, analyzing deals, rehabbing, and managing contractors. Mastering those 3 skills will give you so many more options, right? If I know how to find, analyze, renovate, and work with and manage contractors, I then have the option to decide, hey, do I want to flip this deal myself? Or maybe I want to wholesale it, or maybe I want to keep it as an Airbnb. Once you learn those skills, the world of real estate investing really opens up to you because you have the option to decide what strategy you want to focus on. And once you become good at those skills, the art of raising private money will become a lot easier to you, which will open yourself up to more lucrative opportunities. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out the video that I created. The link to it is up above, where I talk about how to work with private money lenders. Now that you understand the various strategies, let's talk about some common misconceptions that people have that prevent them from ever getting started. One of the biggest myths that I see is, oh, I need to get my real estate license first if I want to invest in real estate. I need to have a 720 credit score, and I need to have thousands of dollars saved up in order to get started. And that's simply not true. Take me for an example. When I first got started, I did not have my real estate license, and to this day, I still do not have my license. Also, when I first got started, I was just fired from my job, meaning I did not have a lot of money saved in the bank. I don't think I had anything saved in the bank. And lastly, I was working with a 515 credit score. My credit score was nowhere near perfect. It had a lot of blemishes on it, but I did not let any of those things stop me from getting started. I used what resource I had, which was time, and I leveraged that to be able to get started. Now, the second misconception that I hear that just like really irritates my soul is that people say, oh, you could get started in real estate investing with no money. That is completely false. Nobody is going to sell you a house for free. No contractor is going to work for free. You do need money. Now, does it have to be your money? Absolutely not. You could leverage other people's money, like hard money lenders and private money lenders, but you do need money. And the funny thing about when they say that, it is usually followed by, I'll show you how to invest in real estate with no money if you just buy my course for $9.97. Well, that's money, isn't it? Make it make sense. Next, you need to understand that when you are just starting out, trying to be a jack of all trades will not get you very far. You need to focus. Follow one course until successful. Now, that doesn't mean you have to pick one strategy and stick with it forever, but trust me, if you pick one strategy in the beginning, you will get a lot further, a lot faster. So for me, I had picked the strategy of wholesaling first, and once I developed my skills of wholesaling, it allowed me to not only wholesale, but also house flip. Don't be that person who needs to know every little detail before you take action. You'll never know everything, and if you wait until you feel like you know everything, you'll never get started. I still go into deals myself to this day, not knowing every detail. However, I've invested in people and programs, and I have relationships that I have built that I could call on if I had a question. And if you think you'll learn everything you need to know on YouTube, you are severely mistaken. You'll learn more by actually jumping into a deal and taking it from A to Z than you will learn from just watching a YouTube video. A lot of you are afraid to get started because you do not want to fail, and you need to shift your mindset around the word failure. Think of failure as just an opportunity to grow. So ask yourself, am I failing, or am I simply learning something new that will help me in the future to make my life a lot easier? And honestly, I think a lot of us aren't necessarily afraid of failing. We're just afraid of doing it in front of people, right? Think about it like this. If you've ever walked down the street and tripped over a rock, what's the first thing you do? You look up to see who saw me, right? We want to see if anyone saw us trip and make a mistake. If not, we just keep going, right? We don't feel embarrassed because no one saw us. And in real estate investing, the sooner you don't give a crap about who sees you quote unquote fail, the sooner you will be successful. So if you're ready to get over your fear and want to learn more about the strategy of house flipping, be sure to check out the video on your screen where I talk about this 10 steps you need in order to flip a house, and I'll see you over there.